Hi, I'm Samantha Mazzell, and this is Slide UX's interview series for Human's Sake, where I chat with people who enhance users' experiences virtually and in the flesh. So here we have the Amy Critchett. She is principal of AC Eclectic Creative Services Worldwide. For the record, she's one of my best friends in the entire world. We have played together, we've worked together, we've dreamed together. She's my people. She's people's too, which is why I had to interview her for Human's Sake. So welcome, Amy.
Thank you, my darling. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you.
So, Amy, you have produced zillions of user experiences. So, from Wired, you were working on all of their special projects, to your art and audience startup, to the production of the Bay Lights, which illuminates the San Francisco Oakland Bay Bridge. And there's this really big sort of overlap of art and technology that seemed to be a through line of your life and all that you've kind of touched with your magic. And I wonder, sort of, how do you think that came to be?
Well, I mean, magic is an important word in this story. It came to be because I was an intern at Wired magazine helping Jane Metcalf figure out how to do all that we needed to do to launch that magazine. And my passion was publishing. I knew I wanted to be in media. I knew media was a way to change the world and to create experiences for people, for audiences to think for themselves. So when I started working at Wired, I wasn't drawn to the technology aspect, but I was drawn to the cultural aspect of what we were doing. And we just started inventing systems and processes and content and platforms every day, basically. So from the magazine's perspective, John Perry Barlow used to say that I was the social interface for the magazine. And this is, decades before social media is even
Totally.
considered. And so I knew how important it was to be a character in the opera that was the Wired magazine brand, and that it was more than the magazine. So early on in my career, I have always had a good sense that what I do is very multi-platform.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a book, which is a magazine, but you also have all the ways that that brand touches all of its constituents. So it started there. And from there, I became an independent producer. So basically my career, I've gone in and out of different gigs. And my through line has been being an independent producer, which is now encapsulated in my AC Eclectic Creative Services Worldwide practice. So actually at Wired, one of the last things I did was with Hotwired was produce the first live web broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I left my time at Wired, I was able to take that experience and leverage it into a production company that my clients were Nike and ABC Sports and Paul Allen. And, I had these huge clients, and it was me and my partner and whoever I was able to pull together to make these crazy digital experiences happen.
What was the craziest piece?
Oh my God. So part of my time with Nike, so at that point, Nike didn't have a universal website. Nike was a series of sort of episodic web experiences. And this is 1996, 97, I don't even remember. And so we did all the branding and all the creative for Nike.com, including hosting a dynamic live web broadcast that was hosted at the Prefontaine track and field event in Oregon. Mm-hmm. So, of course, it was raining. And so I had my little production tent set outside this big, huge track and field event. And luckily, the CBS truck pulled in right next door, and they had their big satellite uplink, because I was running the whole show on this generator that got soaked overnight and going ring, ring, and there was, the power was up and up, and this major event was happening, and all these eyeballs were on Nike. So, got through it, with a smile. But also at that point, I remember I wanted to make a T-shirt for myself, which said, "I like TV, it works." And so then from there, I actually went into television and right in the heart of the convergence of the internet at that time and
Totally.
television broadcast.
I really like, thinking about the through line of how something starts in as a certain medium, how a magazine starts in a book-like medium, and what you come in and do is think about all of the sort of tentacles of other media and technology that spreads through. And a lot of what has been important to you in the way that you're spreading those messages is kind of the art behind it too. And the people who create the art, the people who experience the art for art's sake, right? And, I know that you and I agree that art is just so important to the wellness of humans. And, I'm wondering when you think about how important it is, and even especially now, we're a bit depleted currently, how can we ensure that we all get sort of our recommended dietary allowance of art these days?
Well, it's interesting. I was writing something for a client this morning and I was touching on there's like the now, which of course, like the appetite and the need for inspiration and aspirational and accessible creativity is rife, right?
Yeah.
But also the beauty of creativity and really, my sweet spot is the artist journey, but it's timeless. I like to call myself an art worker,
Mm.
which is the other oldest profession, right? Like art has been happening since since the beginning of time. So I don't think it's more valuable now than it was before, but it's certainly, can I swear? I shouldn't swear.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, I
very,
mean,
certainly, you know what I would say.
yeah.
Very valuable. And for me, because, there's the object or the experience or the art itself, but it's really about those pulses that generate around it and what those pulses, how they impact the audience. And when we were making the Bay Lights, for example, I'll never forget Leo Villarreal, who's, such a delightful and generous human. He was always very forthright about the fact that, yes, indeed, this expression, this 2 mile expression of public art, while his vision is to integrate the environment and integrate the infrastructure but was really to delight and inspire. Like how I like, in my TEDx, talk, several times, I talk about the fact when I was a kid, I saw the fence. I saw Christo's running fence.
Yeah.
And that impression that left an indelible impression on me as a human. And that impression is something that I'm very passionate about replicating far and wide with the biggest audiences possible, to inspire, even if you don't like the art, right? I mean, as you know, I'm married to an artist, and that artist, I'm completely embedded in the agony and the ecstasy of his process. You either love him or you the opposite of love him and his work. But it's that process that is so important and so valuable and so inspiring for those who have the honor of participating
Hmm.
in it, whatever the it
Hmm.
is.
Your current focus right now, which is the Illuminated River Public Art Commission, and that is lighting up 14 London bridges on the River Thames. And sources tell me that once it's finished, it will be the longest public art project in the world, seen over 130 million times each year. So we're talking pulsing, we're talking no.
British style.
And um
Yes, yes, yes. Yes.
So it's absolutely incredible, and it's well underway. Four, I think, of the bridges have been lit. And so, what I wanted to hear about is thinking back to the beginning when, imagining all of the conversations where you had to pitch this whole idea, imagine all of these, landmarks of the city of London being lit up, and how do you get that into people's minds, and sort of how do you describe the experience of interacting in this way with art?
Very good question, Samantha. And I'm going to start with backtracking to the Bay Lights. So with the Bay Lights in San Francisco, it was the idea of a creative individual, Ben Davis, who had a really vibrant creative services agency, and Caltrans was one of his clients.
Mm,
And he had this great idea, and he just pitched to them before he knew Leo, before we started,
got it.
well before he and I started working together on it. So the Bay Lights was it wasn't really asking permission. I mean, 100% we had to get permits, and we had to do, a big part of my role was making sure that we had all the legal and permitted and insured and, blah, 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 complicated. Um, but human, every interaction
Yeah.
where was a human exchange about making art and making art happen on the grandest scale. So fast forward to London. So London was actually, Leo Villarreal Studios, with Leo Villarreal at the head, was awarded this commission through a competition. Leo's vision was to create this timeless, abstract, inspired by the rising tide, rise and the fall of the tides, and all of the life and the culture happening around these bridges, and also by the masters who, Monet and Whistler, who have already made these gorgeous abstract impressionistic images of these bridges. So as we all know, light can go all sorts of wrong really quickly if in the wrong hands. Just like any paintbrush. And Leo is a master, and so because of his contextual and his comprehensive understanding of his vision, we then apply at our studio bespoke software to be able to then have the system that he's able to do his actual painting with.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I
So
love
I
it.
guess, a long story short, it's a
No,
lot of conversations, but
yeah.
it starts with, same with the Bay Lights. If the Bay Lights wasn't extraordinary
Yeah.
and beautiful, which is
Yeah.
100% the artist's vision, then it wouldn't have
It wouldn't
worked.
work. And
So
so
in
you
my
know how,
role, I
yeah.
know how important that is. Like, I understand the role of the artist, and then you build and frame and, circumnavigate around that vision to make it happen.
So people will walk on this bridge and they'll feel these lights. I mean, was there kind of like language around it?
Oh yeah, of
Yeah.
course, of course. And it takes a lot of effort, as you well know, to look effortless. So it's about, really fine tuning the narrative and making sure, again, that it was coming from literally the artist's heart.
Wrapping up, one more thing. So the world is in quite a state right now. I'm wondering, because you have such a way with worlds, Amy, how would you complete this sentence? The time is ripe
The time is ripe for magic.
for magic.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. And all that that means.
I love it. Thank you so much for participating in this, and can't wait to see it all continue to be a light because of your work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.